Dr. Salah Al-Jabri,
yes.
Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here at the French Research Center on Iraq in Paris, in our office in Paris. You are UNESCO Chair for the Genocide Prevention Studies in the Islamic world, as well as Professor of Philosophy at the University of Baghdad, College of Arts.
Yes.
And so now maybe to kick off this interview, my first question would be a maybe more personal question. What is it that led you to specialize on genocide prevention, and why did you make it your main commitment?
Thank you very much. Thank you. It is my pleasure to be here with you on this review. First of all, I want to talk about our visit to Paris.
Yes.
This is the first one.
Okay, yes.
I visited Paris to participate in conference in UNESCO organization and attend meeting about genocide prevention with other UNESCO chairs specialized in genocide. For me, I'm majoring in philosophy, but I'm interested in genocide because my family is subjected to atrocities by Saddam regime, and they killed, the regime killed 2 of my brothers and destroyed my house and buried it. Therefore, I'm interested in genocide, and then decided to present to UNESCO to get chair for genocide prevention studies to fill a big gap in Arabic about these studies, and I consider that this platform of scientific research in humanities, maybe to help us to develop the methodologies in humanities, because this is a new topic. We could treatment in scientific manner on scientific methodologies. I consider the genocide like social disease that need to discover the causes and factors lead to this phenomena or this event. Therefore, I feel that my job or my duty to treat this danger phenomena, genocide, and to encourage younger generation in Iraq to enhance democracy and tolerance and coexistence, solidarity. This field of study helps or help Iraqi people to promote these principles in context of our global citizenship education, and to enhance the reconciliation among Iraqi people. Therefore, we decided to get this chair about genocide, about the prevention of genocide, not genocide exactly, genocide like disease. We want to prevent it. Therefore, our goal to peace building in society and to spread tolerance and spread democracy. The main causes that draw us to interested in genocide.
Okay, that's
yes. but my specialized in originally philosophy.
Okay.
Till now, I'm philosopher.
Okay, initially that, and then I see.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
And so then maybe my second question would be for some of our viewers who are maybe not intricately familiar with the recent history of Iraq, would it be possible to briefly go over the recent genocides that occurred in Iraq for them to understand?
Yeah, Iraqi people faced difficult days in the age of Saddam regime. Saddam regime made some atrocities with Iraqi people in marshes, in Kurdistan, in the middle and in the south and in the north. For example, Saddam regime forced many people from Shia sector to displacement of them to Iran in 1990s because they originally, as he as he claimed that they belonged to Iranian people or Persian people, but they are Iraqi in reality. Therefore, they lost properties and their houses. Some of them arrested, or some of them killed when they pass in the battlefield during the war between Iraq and Iran. Therefore, this forced displacement we consider as atrocity or genocide or some action against democracy spirit, against tolerance, against the international community's understanding or agreement. Other atrocities, Saddam regime attacked Kurdish people. For example, attacked Halabja city by a chemical weapon. And then he committed some atrocities by Anfal, what we called Anfal, and displaced many people, thousands of people out of their home, and they lost their properties and their lands, and some of them killed in vague circumstances. Or therefore, we faced in Iraq exactly dark days or dark history. Then in 2014, ISIS swept Sinjar and Nina plans and committed genocide against minorities like Yazidi society, and they destroyed everything in Sinjar and arrested women and men and separated women from men and children, and killed most of them, most of the men, and they took the women and they forced them to work in terrible circumstances or terrible conditions. This is events in this age in between the last 20th century and the first or 21st century. There are some roots of genocide in Iraq. Therefore, we need to develop archaeology of genocide to excavate the the genocide in history of Iraq, and to clarify this phenomenon to society, to reject it, and to deal with it as it is negative impact on society, and we should encounter it and prevent recurrence in our history in future.
I understand.
Yes.
And you mentioned the international community. Taking, for example, the 1988 Anfal campaign.
Yes.
Why do you think that the international community was so silent when it came to this? What factors do you think led them to not to condemn these acts?
Yes, I think international community controlled by United States and some of great countries like Britain. Those are connected with Saddam regime in some interests, economic interests. Therefore, economic is what control on everything. Therefore, yes, they fear, they know that some atrocities happened in Halabja and in Anfal, but they ignore them because they fear that maybe lost their interest in Iraq. But they will lose their interest in Iraq because in Iraq, Republic Iraq, ruled by ideology or dictatorial ideology. Therefore, they feel that keep silent in that time.
I understand,
and
yes.
then they talk about this events or atrocities after regime, Saddam regime down.
I see, yes.
Yes.
Understand. And then maybe moving on more to the present now, you talked about the Yazidi genocide of 2014. Since then, what efforts do you think have been made to raise awareness about that genocide? And is it maybe a subject that is taboo in Iraqi society, or is it not? Those are my two questions.
You mean about international community position, or
more within Iraq, within the nation?
Yeah.
Is what efforts have been made to raise awareness about the Yazidi genocide?
Yeah.
And is it something taboo to talk about?
Yeah. Yazidi society or Yazidi people were subjected to genocide, need more interesting from Iraqi government and from NGO and from us as a UNESCO Chair for Genocide Prevention Studies. But we should determine what they need. Maybe they need from government more than need from NGO or from universities. Universities maybe present scientific studies and repellation or psychological repellation or social repellation. Therefore, there are some interested or some projectors focus on Yazidi survivors, like that what achieved by IOM from UN and Polytechnic University, Soleimani Polytechnic Engineer University, and YESDA organization in Britain, in partnership with the Chaire UNESCO Chair at University of Baghdad. Or for example, use technologies in treatment to make people empathy with the survivors, because most of Iraqi people ignore what Yazidi and what their religion, what their culture. But after genocide, most of Iraqi people know what I mean when we say Yazidi. It is. They said it is not the minority; it is a component of Iraq.
Of Iraqi society, yes.
Yes. Yazidi society need three what we call three factors or three activities or three workers, like they need psychological rehabilitation and social solidarity, and they need it is for most important. The third, very important, they need economic excavation.
To help.
Yes. We have, as a shareholder, I put some project to serve the survivors, Yazidi survivors. But the government still didn't produce anything seriously.
Okay, so it hasn't. Okay.
Yes.
Because that was going to be one of my questions later on some of the projects that you co-organized, like the I think it's called Nobody's Listening with IOM. And so, did you feel that on a student level, on a participant level, empathy was
Nobody's Listening is very important program because he make many of students in Iraqi universities empathy with the Yazidi survivors, and he achieved a good effects in this study, and we tend to develop this project to apply in other universities in other countries, like in USA or in Britain, but till now we apply in Iraq only.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you said that nothing much has been done on the government level. So would you say then that maybe what are efforts that have been made from a educational, cultural or political level when it comes to the Iraqi government for working on reconciliation or national dialogue to maybe put these things behind within Iraqi society?
Now in Iraq we focus on education because every activity is use technology in or use technology in the stage after genocide happened. Therefore, our use virtual reality to teach people how they empathy with the survivors, genocide survivors, and now we prepare a curricula to apply or to a class of students in culture of artists, and on the level diploma in peace building studies.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I saw that when it came to this virtual help accessory to this exhibition, to this project, that it was also used in the Iraqi parliament to raise awareness, for instance, also. So it was done with students, but also within the Iraqi parliament, if I'm not mistaken.
Students, Iraqi parliament, politicians, scholars, professors.
Really, yes, a whole,
women and men.
I see.
Yes.
Okay, and then maybe another question, now going back again to the international community, is as you may know, a year ago, it was, so November 2021, it was the first time that, I think it was Germany, that condemned an Iraqi jihadist fighter for genocide against the Yazidi community. So it was the first time that the word genocide within this context was used. What do you think the international community's role within this context is when it comes to raising awareness or holding individuals accountable for these actions?
Yes, I think it's good steps taken by Germany. It's include recognize that what happened with the Yazidi is a genocide. This is very good steps, and we ask from international community to recognize that there were many genocides in Iraq.
Yes.
Whether what happened to Yazidi and what happened to Kurdish people and what happened in marshes. Therefore, because in marshes there were many genocides, like bio-environmental genocide, physical genocide, cultural genocide, maybe environmental genocide, because when you prevent the water to arrive the marsh, and this will prevent everything to alive in these marshes, like fish, like birds, like human beings. Therefore, many human beings displaced the region and alive in other regions, and some of them arrested, some of them killed by soldiers or by security forces of Saddam regime, and other genocides. What happened with after uprising 1991. Like there are many or hundreds of mass graves. It's include children, women, and men and younger people. Some of child was put on their face, and they handle their toys. That means they parent alive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So that.
Therefore, international community should recognize that what happened in Iraq or with Yazidi, not with Yazidi only, with Yazidi, Assyrians, Christians, Shia Turkoman, Kurdish people, marches, was genocide.
Yes.
Yes. Then when they recognize this as a genocide, we can talk about the rights of survivors and the democracy and other things connected with this point. We should consider that this genocide, and then we can give the victims their rights. Right. Without that, they consider just victims, but not as survivors of genocide.
Okay.
Yes.
So as long as this is not recognized, it will be hard to move forward as a nation because of grievances and compensations, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's crucial first. So what the international community did is good, but it would be better if all the genocides that have occurred could be recognized for what they are currently, what actually happened. But my question is more, would what do you think is stopping the international community from recognizing the other genocides that occurred in Iraq?
I don't know what prevent international community to recognize that what happened in Iraq was a genocide. Maybe some countries prevent that, because most of the great countries committed genocide in their history. Yes. For example, United States, or maybe that prevent them to focus on genocide as that what happened to Iraq.
I see.
Sometimes they fear maybe that will make some conflict between minorities in Iraq.
So aggravate tensions, maybe.
Who committed genocide in Iraq?
And then yes, it would.
Sunni or Shi'i or Kurd. This is a sensitive point. Therefore, maybe prevent international community to recognize, to make this point clarification to the people or to the international people, because I made some problem with other minorities, with other components, with other countries, neighbors of Iraq, that all contribute to keep silent about this point. Yes, they tried to treat the phenomena and interested in survivors and present to them some services, but without recognize
the true value. Yes.
Recognize that what happened is genocide.
I see.
Yes.
Understand. Okay. Well, sadly, I have only time for one last question, so I'll try to look more towards the future of Iraq. It's an open-ended question. What do you think are the lessons learned from how Iraq has dealt with its previous genocides, and what would then be the advice on how to deal with it and ensure that this will not occur again within the country?
Future depends upon what we do here now, in the present. We can determine the future before it's happened. Therefore, if we ignore genocide and don't talk about it and treat it in the society and to prevent or to create some tools or instruments or technologies or methodologies to prevent genocide, it will recur in the future. But if we could do good activities or good mechanical tools, or a new culture, new technologies to prevent genocide in this society, the main factor that help to prevent genocide is a culture.
Yes, of course.
Yes, culture is the center, the point center of our work in humanities. Therefore, if we could create a new culture of tolerance, culture of democracy, culture of coexistence, solidarity, therefore we can predict that future will be a good future. And but exactly if we don't do that, we can predict a negative future or maybe genocide will continue in the future. I think, therefore, the future and the nature of the future depend upon what we do in the present.
Well, thank you very much for your insights on genocide prevention, on the importance of narratives, and I think we'll stop here.
Thank you for your efforts and your time. Thank you.